1000 metros de altitude. Eles têm velocidade e resistência, mas não possuem bons treinadores. Os oficiais decidem procurar ajuda no exterior. Este é o treinador sueco Onni Niskanen, contratado para organizar um centro de treinamento nas montanhas de Addis Abeba. Foi aqui que ele conheceu um soldado de 27 anos da guarda do imperador Haile Selassie, chamado Abebe Bikila.
I was working with the Athletic Federation, and it was at the military championships in athletics that I first recognized him, and that was in 1959. We had a training camp in Debrecen, and Abebe did a very good time, and I was sure that he was going to win in Rome.
Roma, 1960. 100.000 espectadores ocupam o Estádio Olímpico para a cerimônia de abertura da 17ª Olimpíada. O time da Etiópia guarda lembranças amargas do passado. 25 anos antes, a poucos quilômetros do estádio, o premier da Itália, Benito Mussolini, após um discurso de um balcão do Palácio Venezia, enviou tropas italianas para a Etiópia. Após meses de terríveis bombardeios, a Etiópia se rendeu e foi anexada à Itália, um prelúdio do início da Segunda Guerra. Agora, em Roma, é o orgulho etíope que está em jogo. Eles querem mostrar ao mundo a força de seus corredores de longa distância. Além do treinador sueco Onni Niskanen, eles convidaram o Dr. Leroy Walker, dos Estados Unidos, para ajudá-los no treinamento. O Dr. Walker e Onni Niskanen convenceram o imperador Selassie de que seus corredores de longa distância têm chances de vencer a maratona mais do que as corridas de 5 e 10 mil metros.
I didn't believe they could make it in the 5 and the 10, which is what the people there wanted. The chances I thought they had was in the marathon. We had to go to Selassie, and Selassie was the one that said, if you brought these specialists here, you should listen to them. And so if the marathon is their best chances, we want them to make their best showing, then that's what we enter.
Às 17h30 do sábado, 10 de setembro de 1960, 69 corredores de 35 países participam da maratona de 42 quilômetros. A corrida começará ao entardecer para evitar o calor de Roma. Em 2 horas, depois do pôr do sol, os primeiros corredores voltarão, guiados por tochas. Os favoritos são Abdesselem Hadi, do Marrocos, 2 soviéticos, Vorobiev e Popov, e Barry McGee, da Nova Zelândia. Muitos falam dos incríveis treinos dos etíopes. Um dos americanos na corrida é John Kelly.
There was a big practice field, kind of a quadrangle in the Olympic Village, and that's where we got to size up lots of our competition. And you naturally watched Abebe. He had that very graceful, rather short-looking stride, but fluid, very fluid in his movements. And of course, they would go round and round this quadrangle, and we didn't like to count laps because we didn't want to see anybody going farther than we were going every day.
O roteiro da maratona combina a grandeza do passado de Roma com o presente. Os corredores conhecerão as ruínas do Coliseu e do Fórum e a moderna e arborizada Via Cristóforo Colombo. Depois, seguirão pela histórica Via Ápia até o final, no Arco de Constantino. Por mais de 1/3 da corrida, Hadi do Marrocos lidera, seguido de Arthur Kelly da Grã-Bretanha, de Van den Driesch da Bélgica e de Abebe Bikila da Etiópia em 4º. Bikila corre descalço, pois achou desconfortáveis os sapatos disponíveis.
The bottom of their feet would almost a strong piece of rubber almost because of how they train. They've been running on all kinds of surfaces, plus across the mountainside. If you're running a lot on dirt and sand, you're more comfortable with your bare feet than you are with a shoe. And I said, well, let's forget about it. If we're too near the games now to be changing his environment, which would include his shoes. And if he's comfortable with that, that's what we're going to do.
Ao pôr do sol, a corrida continua para Hadi do Marrocos e Bikila da Etiópia. Eles transformaram a corrida em uma disputa entre ambos. A noite cai quando eles alcançam a Via Ápia. Hadi e Bikila correm juntos, lado a lado. Hadi é o favorito. Bikila, até agora, era relativamente desconhecido. O fim da Via Ápia já estava em vista quando Bikila toma a dianteira. Campeão olímpico de salto com vara em 1952 e 1956, Bobby Richards narrava o final da maratona para a TV.
I was working for CBS then, and here in the marathon is this barefoot guy. I mean, I'll never forget, we were all barefoot. How in the world can you run a marathon on cobblestones barefoot? And all the splendor of Rome. Here's the Baths of Caracalla, here's the Appian Way, here's the Arc of Constantine. It's so dramatic because the Italian army had taken the symbol of Ethiopia, and it was there, and in the light you could see it. The Arc of Constantine, the triumph, you know, all. I started crying. To me, it was one of the most dramatic moments I've ever seen in the Olympics.
A cada passo, Abebe Bikila aumenta a vantagem e a reta final, no Arco de Constantino, está logo à frente. A vitória de Bikila torna-se uma inspiração para os maratonistas. Kenny Moore, dos Estados Unidos, é um deles.
The first issue of Track and Field News I ever saw was the Rome Olympic issue when I was a sophomore in high school. There was a picture of Bikila coming down the Appian Way by torchlight and finishing under the Arch of Constantine. Perfect rhythm. It's this dry. It's still what I think of as the African rhythm. There's not a muscle in his body working that doesn't have to work except the ones that are driving him forward. And so it makes Bikila a double symbol. The drama of Rome coupled with almost this visual image of how you do it right, how you turn your mind off and just go, just let it go. He taught us everything about endurance.
Abebe Bikila se torna o primeiro africano do leste a ganhar uma medalha de ouro olímpica. Em segundo lugar, 25 segundos atrás, vem Abdesselem Hadi, do Marrocos, e Barry McGee, da Nova Zelândia. John Kelly, dos Estados Unidos, chega em 19º.
I had run over those final 15 kilometers in shoes, and it was not easy. There were cobblestones, and some of them quite big. I couldn't imagine taking that shock of barefooted running for 15 kilometers at the pace that Habibi was running, especially. It must have been an extremely difficult victory, but because it was so revolutionary in terms of time and so dramatic in terms of his barefooted running, it just instantly began a new era in world marathoning, and as marathoners, we all knew this. We all knew that something terrifically dramatic had happened. And from then on, of course, Habibi was a magic name.
I was very happy for one sentence I read in one Italian newspaper, that it took Mussolini one army to conquer Addis Ababa, but it took only one single soldier from the bodyguard to conquer Rome.
Bikila foi recebido de volta como um herói e sua vitória iluminou todos os corredores etíopes. Será que eles se tornariam uma força dominante na corrida de longa distância? O objetivo de Bikila e seu companheiro Mamo Wold é vencer nas Olimpíadas de Tóquio em 1964. Bikila continua com o treinador sueco Onni Niskanen. Deverá ser o favorito em Tóquio, mas Bikila sabe que grandes corredores da Grã-Bretanha, Japão e Austrália participarão e que ele será um homem visado em sua segunda maratona olímpica. Em 1964, na cerimônia de abertura dos Jogos Olímpicos de Tóquio, carregando a bandeira da Etiópia, está Abebe Bikila, aos 32 anos. Em breve, ele tentaria ser o primeiro a vencer a maratona 2 vezes. No dia da abertura, há outro momento histórico. O último corredor a carregar a chama que arderá durante os Jogos é um jovem atleta japonês desconhecido de 19 anos, chamado Yoshinori Sakai. A escolha de Sakai simboliza a tragédia da Segunda Guerra e a esperança de um futuro pacífico. Yoshinori Sakai nasceu em 6 de agosto de 1945 em Hiroshima, no dia em que a bomba atômica foi lançada. Alguns dias depois, 68 homens estão na maratona. Entre os favoritos estão Hill e Hitley, da Grã-Bretanha, Tsuburaya, do Japão, e Hogan, da Irlanda, Ron Clark, da Austrália e o campeão atual, Abebe Bikila. A saúde de Abebe está frágil. Ele teve o apêndice retirado 5 semanas antes dos Jogos. Os corredores saem do estádio para voltar em cerca de 2 horas. Depois de 8 quilômetros, lideram Hogan, da Irlanda, Clark, da Austrália e Bikila, da Etiópia.
We were under 30 minutes for the first 10,000, and we went through 10 mile in pretty quick time, and Tim Hogan and I were running together all this time. Bikila didn't get back more than a yard or two behind us all the time that we were chatting and talking and thinking he'd dropped way back. And usually when you're running with somebody, or training or in a race, you can hear them, or you sense that they're there, because you hear footfalls. Bikila was so fresh, his foot was just stretching the ground. We didn't even bother to turn around to see where he went. We just were convinced he'd drop right off. And he started to surge on us before halfway to drop us off. Hogan went with him. I said, I've seen enough of you, I'll just keep on going.
Bikila completa a metade do percurso na liderança. Hogan está logo atrás do etíope. O calor afeta Clark, que fica para trás. O treinador Onni Niskanen treinou Bikila a fazer o mínimo de movimento com os braços e a cabeça. Ele dizia a Bikila: sua cabeça deve flutuar, ela nunca deve subir e descer. Bikila aprendeu a lição e enquanto os outros maratonistas correm, Bikila flutua.
The marathon in 64 was a master at the top of his form, just being disdainful of all the mortals and showing the mortals through example. The way Plato said, true teaching is only achieved by example. Bikila never said a word. He set the pace and disdainfully held to that pace. One by one, Bikila picked them off and kept his pace.
No quilômetro 30, Bikila abre 300 metros de vantagem sobre Hogan. Tsuburaya, do Japão, toma o 3º lugar. No quilômetro 35, Hogan está exausto e abandona a corrida. Bikila agora está sozinho. Tsuburaya está a 800 metros e Hitley, da Grã-Bretanha, a 1.200 metros.
I remember extremely humid conditions. We had something like 90% humidity that day. A lot of runners had gone off far too fast for the conditions, and they paid the penalty in the second half of the race. And we passed a lot of well-known runners either staggering by the roadside or dropped out or whatever. And in fact, I think only about 2 miles from the finish, I was still in 4th place. We had 2 runners, Tsuburaya of Japan and, as I now know, Suto of Hungary, some way in front. And they may or may not have been the leaders. So, I mean, I didn't see Bikila.
Após 40 quilômetros, Bikila corria no mesmo passo em que começara a corrida. O estádio aparece. É um recorde olímpico. 2 horas 12 minutos 11,2 segundos. A mais rápida maratona da história. Bikila realiza o que nenhum homem jamais conseguiu. Vitórias consecutivas em maratonas olímpicas.
He broke the Olympic record by 3 minutes. Never speeded up. Didn't even seem like he was going to slow down after he crossed the line. He jogged into the infield, never said a thing, starts doing exercises, touching his toes, never breathing hard, never said a word. It's this great dignity of example, how this should be done. It was amazing.
Agora é o combate pela medalha de prata. Todos os olhos se voltam para a entrada do estádio. Kokichi Tsuburaya do Japão é o primeiro a entrar no estádio, 5 metros atrás, Basil Hitley da Grã-Bretanha.
I didn't see Bikila at all. I entered the stadium knowing only that Tsuburaya was just in front. And that was the job to attend to. But I'd got the advantage because I was coming from behind. And I was able to take him by surprise. I mean, I was quite deliberate. That in fact, if you're going to go by somebody, you go as late as you dare, and you go as hard as you dare. The fact that there were perhaps 90,000 Japanese was lost on me. In athletics, Tsuburaya was about to win their only medal, which was silver, and before their very eyes, I was turning it to bronze. That I realised I hadn't won when there was no tape. That's when I realised, because he was so far away, that I didn't know. Bikila that day, quite honestly, was in a class of his own in those conditions. And he won the A race and I won the B race.
Ao conquistar a medalha de bronze, Tsuburaya sentiu ter decepcionado seu país. Estava determinado a conseguir a medalha de ouro em 1968 nos Jogos Olímpicos do México.
Tsuburaya was in the Japan Self-Defense Forces, and his coaches there were, let's say, traditional Japanese coaches. You ran through injury. And Tsuburaya had Achilles tendons problems. And it got worse and worse. And Tsuburaya obeyed his superiors and kept running and kept running. And raced less and less well because the tendon was tearing. And Tsuburaya committed suicide and left a note, simple note, saying, "I cannot run any longer."
Na cidade do México, em 1968, Abebe Bikila correria em busca da terceira medalha. É o favorito, mas semanas antes da corrida, o corredor de 36 anos quebra um pequeno osso do pé. Muitos aconselham que ele não participe. Mesmo assim, Bikila entra na corrida.
In Mexico, when I found myself up front with 3 or 4 of us sharing the lead after 10K, found myself right next to him, and I remember thinking, I'm next to Bikila. I'm next to the master. So the early miles of Mexico City was, for me, looking back, this wonderful, wonderful, thrilling privilege of doing what I love to do with someone who taught me a great deal about it. The course, the line went around several corners. The crowd was excited. They crowded in on the corner, so the actual line on the street went into people's feet, and you had to steer your way around. And for some reason, he thought that I was going to steer him into those people. And he elbowed me and pushed me out. And I remember I would never do that. I couldn't believe that he would think that I would run him into the people. And that was the only thing I ever said to Bibi Bikila was, "Hey man, I would never do that. Don't worry."
Bikila está entre os líderes após 17 quilômetros, mas a dor é forte demais e ele abandona a corrida. Seu conterrâneo, Mamou Wold, conquista a medalha de ouro. É a terceira vez que um corredor etíope conquista o ouro. Wold diz: Bikila não estava bem. Se estivesse saudável, teria ganhado. Bikila se recupera e volta a treinar. Anuncia sua próxima tentativa na Olimpíada de Munique em 1972, quando terá 40 anos. Em março de 1969, os maratonistas estão treinando ao receberem uma trágica notícia. Ao dirigir para casa à noite, após o treino, Bikila sofre um acidente de carro e fica gravemente ferido. Ele sobrevive, mas os ferimentos o deixam incapacitado. O imperador envia Bikila ao famoso hospital inglês Stoke Mandeville para tratamento. Apesar de paralisado da cintura para baixo, ele continua a competir, agora com arco e flecha, e vence diversos campeonatos para deficientes físicos. Ainda em 1969, Bikila finalmente volta a Addis. Milhares comparecem para recebê-lo. Colegas de equipe, mulher e filhos. Nenhuma palavra é dita e nenhuma é necessária. Bikila sabe que jamais poderá usar as pernas novamente. No verão de 1972, a Etiópia ainda é governada por Haile Selassie, de 81 anos. Ele ordena que Bikila continue sendo oficial da guarda do palácio, apesar de sua invalidez. No mesmo dia, Bikila recebe outra homenagem. Participa da inauguração do ginásio Abebe Bikila, em Addis. Essa é uma das raras aparições públicas de Bikila, cuja saúde declina. O comandante de Bikila na guarda lê a homenagem que diz: talvez seja preferível deixar os feitos de Bikila aos historiadores. Contudo, eu acho apropriado relembrá-los de suas proezas extraordinárias, de seu valor, de sua coragem, de sua vontade de vencer. Bikila pertence à Etiópia, mas também pertence ao mundo, aos corações e mentes de todo jovem que se inspirou nele para alcançar a grandeza. Somos gratos por ter Abebe Bikila conosco.
You could not help but be moved by the imagery of Bikila. And in a way that was striking to an American high school kid or college sophomore, just never having any experience of what life is like in East Africa. I now know he's very typical of the kind of young man who grows up in a pastoral setting in the Ethiopian highlands all along the Rift Valley. All the tribes up there move in that amazingly efficient way. They all seem like they can run 50 miles and fight a battle and steal a herd of cows and drive them back up into the mountains and do it all on a handful of millet and a sip of cow's blood.
Em 25 de outubro de 1973, Abebe Bikila morre de hemorragia cerebral aos 41 anos. Em todo o mundo, Abebe é lembrado como uma inspiração para todos aqueles que competem e buscam a excelência. Com o passar dos anos, os recordes de Abebe Bikila foram superados, mas um recorde jamais será quebrado. Ele será para sempre o primeiro africano do leste em 10 provas, 5 em cada dia. O decátulo é um extenuante